Hey, what's up? Welcome back, sports fans. It is another episode of Sports, of course, with Jonah and RPF. RPF, I do feel like I'm going to come out of the gate and apologize a little bit. Our summer has been hectic, and a little, so our posting has been a little bit erratic. But things are.
We've been on summer hiatus. We've been on a summer break.
Yeah.
But now we're back with a vengeance.
We've been enjoying the great weather. Yes, we're back. We should have a little bit more normality to our podcast going forward. So, with all of that said, we do need to catch up on quite a bit of stuff. Before we do that, you can of course listen to us anywhere you listen to your podcast. That's over on Apple, Spotify, Podbean, all the hosts. You can find us socially on Instagram as well as Twitter, and you can also find us on our dedicated YouTube channel. Just go to any of those platforms, type in Sports, of course, with Jonah and RPF. I'm pretty sure we are the only Sports, of course, with Jonah and RPF in the title. And thus, we should pop right up. So, without further ado, let's get into this episode because I think we've got a lot to talk about and not enough time to do it. So, RPF.
Before all that.
Okay.
First of all.
See, I knew it.
Before all that.
I knew it.
First of all, I missed you.
Oh, thank you.
A little heartfelt moment there. Secondly, we've been gone for so long that Twitter no longer exists. It is now called X, which is
right.
like as ominous as the overlord who now presides over it, which is terrifying. And the fact that the Sports, of course, with Jonah and RPF, a family-friendly, happy podcast, is still lingering on that front, I may have to reassess that possibility.
Fair. Okay.
And further, for those who wonder why I'm so sartorially on trend with the Barbie movie being pink, it is actually, We'll talk about this, a Leo Messi jersey, authentic jersey from the Miami MLS team. So anyway, we'll talk. And apparently you're trying to promote Krispy Kreme, so they'll be our sponsor. Which I would not mind that at all, by the way.
Yeah, that'd be perfect, man. We each had little Krispy Kremes that we could eat while we do the show. It'd be fantastic.
Do a little patch on our shirts and stuff.
Yeah. I'm in. All right, let's reach out. Let's reach out.
Well, sports, of course.
Yes, sports, of course, is the show. So, RPF, where do we start? Coming back.
I think we start with football. We start with football.
Football's close.
Football's close. This is the time of year that all young men and women who love football all are on equal footing. We're all 0-0 with expectations of the Lombardi Trophy at the end of the season. Not so much. Maybe not you exactly.
Maybe peel that back a little bit. I don't have a whole lot of expectations.
Maybe your expectations like, please don't horrify me every week, type of thing. But I will say this: it's a very interesting. When we first announced that the NFL season was kicking off on September 7th at Kansas City against the most unusual. The Detroit Lions would be probably 28th out of 32 teams that I would pick probably against the Chiefs to be more kind of competitive or more expected. Every year, as you guys know, it's always like the Bills and the Bengals, or something. It's almost like the Patriots when they were at the height against some other great team. So those two teams, ultimately in the first week, doesn't tell you that much. Here, we have Detroit Lions with probably empirically top 5 offense in the NFL with like the worst defense in history last season. So this tells you quickly, week 1, day 1, night 1, if the Lions are for real, right? If they go into Kansas City, not only will win for sure, but if they kind of like
they hold their own,
and this is probably the best chance they will ever have to play Kansas City without not much time to prepare for it. Oh, excuse me. Of course I see. I'm just saying that Kansas City could be caught a little sleeping, a little kind of weirdly expectation game. Super Bowl winners, Mahomes can't go wrong. But I don't know. Detroit can put up 21 points in 21 seconds. So it could be. Anyway, I find it very interesting that that's the first game. And I think that's going to make it a lot more fun for the viewer as an offensive Titans playing each other versus like a 10-7 struggle that we had to endure with the Broncos and the Seahawks last year.
You remember all those Thursdays?
Oh my God. I literally could feel my internal organs move. The games were so slow. I was like, oh my God. I was like, how much do I love football? I kept telling myself, I love football. I love football. I love football. I was flipping.
Watch this for the show.
I was flipping around and I saw like Moldavia playing cricket against India. I was like fascinated. Great. I don't even know the rules of cricket, but it seemed better. Anyway, so that's exciting. It's September 7th. It's as we're recording this, it's about 5 weeks, so we're very, very, meaning the voices in my head and I are very excited to get the season going. What's your one takeaway from the season coming up?
Well, so this is August. We finally hit August, and yeah, you're right. Like, this is the month where it's like, oh, we're close. And so, yeah, I heard you mention expectations of hosting Lombardi trophies.
No, for you, it's the Victoria Lombardi, who's a great fan and devoted in spite of highs and lows. Yeah,
I'm not.
You get the Patriots will get the Victoria Lombardi trophy, which is a little different.
I'm not so sure I have those expectations, but as you did also mention, it is clean slate. As much as I do sort of poo-poo on my Patriots these days, it's a new season, so who the hell knows? It's week one is always exciting.
And are they really going to get a certain running back that's been flirting around with your camp?
We got to do something. Like I mentioned in the last podcast, this was before DeAndre Hopkins ended up a Titan. He was the buzz, and they need somebody. Okay, yes, yeah. Devontae Parker used to be amazing and is still good, and yes, Juju Smith-Schuster is good, but they need an amazing offensive player.
The problem is also that you're actually in this moment in time, you're in a division that potentially you're all playing great teams. I mean, if the Patriots as they are now, without even the potential, you could be competitive in the West, in the AFC. You'd be competitive in the Central, in the NFC.
It's unfortunate because, if you've got your team's ability, right, and then you've got the strength of the conference, and it used to when we had Brady, it was like we were up here, and then at the same time, the whole conference was like
the entire division. We're always Miami and Buffalo and the Jets. We'd be even before the season started. We'd be fighting for a wild card.
Right,
we would never even consider the possibility.
And then, unfortunately, instead of us getting bad and meeting everyone down at the bottom, everyone else was like, "Oh, screw you, assholes."
I know. Let's get Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle.
Yeah. So the whole division decided to gang up on us. Collusion. I'm calling collusion.
Well, yes, not nearly as bad as like NBA or something, but yeah. The headline for us, for Miami, meaning the Miami Dolphins, of course, is that we went out and got top 5 defensive player in Jalen Ramsey to really consolidate that secondary to make it world class. Jalen Ramsey, and on day 2 of camp, hurt his knee, and I think it was his knee. It was they were scared it's going to be for the whole season. It ended up being probably through the bye week, which is November, which is kind of like almost a little bit less than half the season. Okay. But in a different year, meaning since I've been born, I would have been okay. That's it. The Dolphin season's over with. If Marino was hurt, why even play the games? Whatever. And this year, he was like the cherry on a Sunday that's really still appetizing. Sure, yeah. So I think the attitude's that, the next man steps up, and that's kind of like you have to have that type of swag. Also, my man Tua, the most disrespected top tier quarterback, I believe he will be top tier, and the most disrespected quarterback. He has 5 of the categories of the 10 that they judge QBs on. He was number 1 when he was playing that last season. Yards in accuracy, in yards per throw, all these things that you always assume it's Burrow or Mahomes or whatever. So the point is that Tua came back 15 pounds stronger with muscle. He took jiu-jitsu to learn how to fall properly, which is, by the way, don't sleep on that. And he has this complete different. He exhales. His interviews now are these past couple of weeks has been like, I got this. No, it just gives the whole, and I've been telling you the contentious fan base the Miami Dolphins have, and they're kind of like we kind of hate, we kind of watch them like a reluctantly, knowing that we hate them. Yeah, those voices have been largely quieted. So anyway, the expectation game is a little different. It's much more like we've been there before. We made the playoffs last year. Now,
Yeah.
let's just take it down. Tua's healthy. We're okay, I think.
I wonder if in let me get your thoughts on this. I wonder if like Tua has, you mentioned that he's like sort of taking a deep breath and he's sort of a different demeanor. I wonder if he's kind of finally reached that point where he has been sort of bashed in the media about being soft and all these things and underrated and all these things to the point to where he's basically like, there's nothing else you can say to me at this point that that's going to hurt my feelings. Like and
Exactly
he's just
right.
he's like, say what you want to say. I'm
Tua's
like,
saying
with
in essence, hold my coconut. I mean, he would say beer, but he doesn't drink that much. So I would say, he would say, okay, everyone can have their opinions. That's fine. I can't control that. What I can control is my body, my reaction, my leadership, my knowledge of the playbook. All those things are exponentially. And when people get confident, and I know this from my own life, when you get confident, you get quiet. You get really, really centered. You don't need to kind of like flag, you don't need to kind of say me. You can say, I got this. And that's what he's about. So I'm very, if he's upright, which is a big F, I understand the big F. If he's upright, I like our chances, so that's my Dolphin moment until
fair.
Yeah.
Fair. We got anything else football?
Yeah, the one kind of related, a sideline. The I think I mentioned it before to you, but the Netflix show Quarterback.
Oh yes, you brought that up last episode. Yeah, I still haven't watched it though.
The Netflix.
Been too busy.
Yeah. Then I loved all those behind the scenes shows, and this is a bit like the Hard Knocks, which is the OG type of documentary from NFL films that people get complete access to on and off the field, but you get glimpses of that in Hard Knocks just because they're covering a set period of time in the preseason with the whole team. So you kind of you have 2 or 3 or 4 standouts in that packaging, but it's not necessarily the deeper dive. Quarterback takes a different tack. It's produced by Peyton Manning. And he takes the idea, which is kind of interesting, and you hear the point of view that being quarterback is the toughest job in sports because every play revolves around you, and it's everything. And then
I've
said that
forever.
Yeah, you have, right. One episode is devoted to like basically how much bashing, how much punishment they take, and it's just fascinating to see like basically the comparison of a Mack truck hitting a wall versus a 320-pound, lineman going just blindsiding you from the back. But the breakout start, and they followed I keep getting his name, the quarterback for the Falcons that was with the Raiders that now is traded to
Mariota.
Mariota,
Marcus.
thank you.
Yep.
Marcus Mariota, right, and his family and the whole. It's kind of interesting to see a high-low thing because this Patrick Mahomes and Kirk Cousins, incredible year last year, right? That was the miracle Vikings that won 10 games in a row by less than 3 points. It's like, anyway, It was literally, first of all, Kirk Cousins is a breakout star. Not besides the dancing and the how you like me now type of thing.
Yeah.
He literally, but he's a star.
He strikes me as sort of, here we go, ding, 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 ring the bells, it's about to happen. And Aaron Rodgers mentioned. That's where I'm going with this. He strikes me as the opposite of Aaron Rodgers, where he's not in the media, he's not flashy, he's not this and that, but he strikes me as the guy that like every teammate he has ever had is like, that guy is awesome.
Yes, but it's fun. This reveals the truth because no one's a hero. No one's completely that, right? He is like almost like he's a flawed type of champion. He does things like, first of all, he's the only Christian the past 6-7 years that in the public eye that I'm actually getting behind. They're not shoveling ideology down your throat. That's just his personal beliefs, and so that's great. His wife and him have the best relationship. They're like completely in sync. They're like, it's great. He demands for he doesn't practice with the team on Tuesdays. He's off on Tuesdays, period, full stop. He goes with his wife to a picnic in the park. He goes to the zoo with her alone. He doesn't have the kids around. It's just date day every Tuesday. Amazing. I think it's kind of like mentally healthy, for that.
Sure.
He goes to therapy, to a therapist. He goes to 3 acupuncturists and to chiropractors, and they're all kind of like just chatty with him. And he's like, anyway, and he's hilarious with his kids. He's funny with the press. He's amazing, like you said, to his teammates. They all like kill for him. Meanwhile, he's been the most sacked or knockdown quarterback even with the Vikings team. So anyway, and he gets up every time, but he also complains like a little bitch to his coach too. He's always belly aching about something, and he's like, I admit it, but I'm a whiner, you know. Anyway, it makes him more human, more interesting to me. Anyway, the show is fantastic. I could not recommend it more or highly. And then you go to the OG, which is Hard Knocks, which is, by the way, everything's kind of derivative from Hard Knocks. That was the OG, right? And that was been let's go. Hard Knocks was a little bit before that. Was NFL Films kind of type of replays, but they kind of grew into that. Really well done. This year they have the New York Jets reluctantly, which is the punchline. The Jets didn't want to do it. The NFL forced them to do it. So now we have the manifesto writer on full display to show America his true self. Let's see how he shows up on camera. He could be like the greatest actor since Broadway's ever seen. Right. We'll see. If not, if its true self comes out, I want to see that too. So actually, so like you said, the opposite side of the coin from Kirk Cousins is someone who has that type of me selfishness, shall we say, of an Aaron Rodgers.
A scotch.
Anyway, it's going to be a fun season. Can you tell? I'm excited about the NFL. Yeah,
I can tell.
Yeah. All right, so that's enough for football until it's not.
Yep. We'll come out soon with our preseason, our official preseason show. That'll be coming up pretty soon.
Yes.
But we'll move on for today. What else we got today, RPF?
Like I mentioned, Leo Messi.
Okay. Messi Mania for sure.
First of all,
it's by the way, it's awesome. I absolutely love this. I am jealous of your shirt. I am jealous of a soccer jersey. For the first time in my life.
A pink soccer jersey.
Yeah.
So I will tell you this. Well, this much. Let's back it up a little bit.
Okay.
Is anything sexier or hotter right now than to be a professional sports fan in Miami? I mean, think about the teams. Think about the potentials, the excitement. You know, think about the Heat in the finals.
Yeah, they're crushing.
Even the Marlins are leading the wild card in baseball. You have, the Dolphins are like never been. The trajectory is almost scary to think about because it's the Dolphins. So I'm scared to even say it out loud. And then you have David Beckham, who co-owns the Miami franchise in the MLS. Lord, the indisputed in my eyes, GOAT, greatest living soccer player or dead soccer player ever to Miami. At 38, which by the way, that's a couple of years left in the tank in these type of guys. So Beckham did that when he went to the LA Galaxy. When I first moved to LA in 2006, that was a big deal. He of course copied me because I moved to LA. 4 weeks later, Beckham shows up with the whole family, and then here enough,
it's got to be hard, Richard. It's got to be hard. It's got to be hard. I understand.
And then now, of course, Messi found out that I'm a huge Miami fan, so here he goes. Leo Messi once again with Beckham leading the way. Anyway, so Beckham gets. And by the way, it's a fascinating story in the Washington Post. They did a story. They broke it down how Messi got to Miami, and it's really interesting because they had to combine giving him like all these entities were involved in getting him to the team. Because remember, the Saudi Arabians, as we have been documenting, are all over the place trying to get money's no object to them. So therefore, if it's about money, Ronaldo's there, and Live Golf is there, So, but it's not about money only. But Messi made it work with Beckham's help to partner in the MLS itself, to partner in Apple, which is the streaming network that does Apple Plus. Okay. So they have them. He has a cut of all the merchandising. Thanks, Leo. Oh, wow. He has. So anyway, so his package is actually still, I would say, 30% less than Ronaldo's, but it's also so diverse, and he gets, like Beckham, have the opportunity at cost to buy a team once he's done playing. So anyway, all these things, they got creative. Messi said, I want to be in Miami. My family wants to be in Miami. Let's make this happen. And he made it happen. Anyway, I don't remember since Tiger Woods, back when he first debuted after his amateur dominance, that he came to the Masters and won. People have to remember this. When he was like a scangly kid, he won the Masters. That was the expectation meeting reality. Not since then do I believe I've seen in sports the unbelievable hype, the crazy buildup to Messi coming to Miami, which I thought was like, people relax. He cannot possibly meet these expectations. I mean, this is one player in a team sport that may or may not even know his teammates' names.
Right, right.
Messi debuts with Miami with a miracle goal to save its season. Came back just 4 days later and scored the first 2 goals in the first 7 minutes. If you know anything about soccer, you can go 7 weeks without a goal. Okay, so
Right.
this is, and then 2 assists to his teammate, to the other striker, which by the way was dormant the entire season until he's the happiest guy in town when Messi's he's feeding him the ball.
Right.
So
yeah.
anyway, the point is that not only I called it. Messi is as GOAT as advertised. He's literally.
Oh man, you did it.
This is why I am RPM. Anyway, but Messi is as GOAT as advertised. He is. I mean, has Ronaldo even played a game in Saudi Arabia? I don't even know what he's done. So to tell you the different type of level,
I honestly don't hear his name. I mean, maybe it's because I live in the U.S. and
well, also you're not a supermodel that wants to meet him. So it's between him and
that you know of,
right, exactly, and DiCaprio that are kind of bouncing off the same type of woman. Anyway, but Messi is a family guy, 3 kids, the whole thing. And by the way, the stadium. I don't know if you saw, but it was like Serena Williams and of course the Beckhams, and he was like all these, and LeBron and Kim Kardashian and her kids.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty great. Anyway, so Miami's a very sexy place to be if you're a pro sports fan. Can you imagine if you imagine just being a Heat fan, being a Heat player, and all of a sudden Messi's in the stands watching you play? That kind of amps you up. That's like the GOAT.
I mean, to put the impact that he's having into perspective.
This jersey,
the jersey, but no, I've also admittedly I've looked up when the Miami team comes up around here somewhere because I'm like I want to go watch this guy play.
Totally,
and that's something admittedly that I never would have done.
No,
in the
please,
past.
I mean, you. I don't think you've ever talked about soccer except during the World Cup.
Pretty much.
But I will say this: I was talking about this jersey, but I was kidding around it. But I thank God I had an inside track contact because this, it's not a cheap type of shirt. But I thought, okay, I got it. Came like 2 days later, and then all of a sudden I got an email alert that the same shirt I have now is on back order till next February. They can't make enough fast enough, and it's all over the world. And this is the official jersey that he wears. You see the Messi shirt. Anyway, and of course, being on the added bonus is that it's on trend for the Barbie movie. So a bunch of guys that don't want to go with their girlfriends that want to be, in the spirit. The girlfriends are all dressed in pink, and they're like, "Okay, I'll wear a Messi.
Yeah, sure, I'll wear the Messi shirt."
Right. No, it's all over TikTok and Instagram. The people are like, "Yeah, look, that's why I'm wearing pink, dude. Relax." Come on. Like to quote Ken in the movie, "I'm Knuff." Anyway, which is like the greatest line. Oh my God, it is so fun, so much fun. Messi has fulfilled every expectation and then some, which was impossible given this was the most hyped introduction.
Within 2 weeks,
athlete.
Is it over? He can go home now.
I mean, he literally
Thanks, man. You can
break. He can tear his ACL and be like, okay, he's good. He did his part. He's worth the $500 million or whatever he got. All right, so that's on the good news side. On the nervous side, which was the opposite of what.
I know where you're going.
I know, right? And listen, and my eyes are kind of saggy because this morning I got up at 3 a.m. to watch the U.S. women's team in the World Cup facing elimination from the group, which was unheard of, from the group fight against Portugal. And it was, the headline is that we squeaked through to the next, to the knockout round with a draw, a 0-0. But in the 91st minute, I don't know if you saw this. In the 91st minute, Portugal, which were like defensive, like they were not even letting the U.S. in. It was not even like close for us that much. 91st minute, of course, as you know, soccer, they clear the ball and and the Portugal player is onside and she breaks free, unstopped to the goal. Mm-hmm. And our goalkeeper, who's fantastic, thank God, our goalie, she literally lunged to the left but the ball came around her and it hit the goalpost or hit the post and it didn't go in. that would have been the biggest flop of expectation versus reality. If that goal had gone in and we lost that game, we would have not advanced, and would have been the easily the biggest upset in sports in 2 years. So what happens? Now we're like, okay, shake it off, to quote the great prophet Taylor Swift. We got to shake it off. So now, which by the way, Taylor Swift, can we discuss in one moment? This is we all are living in her universe. Taylor Swift has had Billboard 100 charts. Literally, almost half of the chart are her songs. It's impossible to think about. It's a different podcast. I just want to make sure that people understand that the phenomenon that is Taylor Swift has just completely and unequivocally taken over this country's popular culture. All right.
Okay.
Having said that, the women now, here's the problem with finishing second in the division or in the group behind the Netherlands, who actually won a game handily, so they advanced as first. Being second, here's the problem. Now we play this coming Sunday. This is recording on Tuesday. This coming Sunday against Sweden. Okay, we're still the best team in the world, right? Well, here's the punchline. Sweden is America's kryptonite. The past 2 Olympics, which we were favored to win, we lost in this phase, in the knockout phase, to Sweden.
Well, good. I think that's what we need.
That's exactly right. Exactly.
I think that's
right.
what we need. I think we
Enough
need
already.
an opponent
Yeah.
where they go, oh shit, this team beats us all the time.
Yeah.
And
have you been watching the games? Because it's kind of like this expectation. Well, who's stepping up? There's no chemistry. There's no communication.
They're young, right?
They're Megan has to step up too. And I think that and
well, she doesn't play much.
Oh no, she plays in the end. I know, but there's got to be someone explaining this to them. The thing, we became this team because of Morgan and Megan stepping up early and often, and anyway.
Right, but here's the thing: is that a young athlete, right? The veterans can tell you all they need to tell you, and they can say, hey, nothing's going to be given to us. But all these young players on the team, they've grown up watching this team dominate, and so they're like, "Oh, we go to the World Cup and we win it."
They believe the hype. They believe just showing up is enough, and
and that's why I thought I was after the game against the Netherlands. I thought that was a good enough kick in the ass, because the first half of that game we got absolutely dominated, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is awful." And then we came out, and then we absolutely dominated the second half.
But remember, we only scored that goal because she got so pissed. That in that moment,
it
right?
was so awesome.
She was like 5 seconds. It was like 5 minutes of like in your face. Mind you, did you know that they're teammates off?
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, so she's like, "I never liked you, and your hair is frizzy," and whatever they say to each other. And then seconds later, she hits the header in the goal. Yeah. If that doesn't happen, again, we're in trouble. So anyway, that was
true. But I mean, that whole second half also. I mean, we had scoring opportunity. Like we were all over them. But anyway,
a different vibe. Yeah.
Right. So I the way I read that was, at halftime they went in the locker room and the leaders, Megan and Alex Morgan and the veterans were like, "Hey, wake the up! Like this nothing's handed to you." And I was like, "Oh," and everyone bought in and they're on board.
I thought it'd be 4-0 against Portugal. I thought it'd be like 4-0.
Right. And then this game happened, and I'm like, come on. What do you?
It's like, again, doing? I think you're right. I think this also just younger generation, just in general, it's just a little bit like sitting back on their back heels, waiting for things to be given, and we have to take it. People, if you're the queen or the king of the mountain, people are gunning for you constantly. The whole dream for that team is to beat you. So you can't be like, "Oh, they're easy because they're number 31 in the world." Well, you know what? They want to be you.
This is This is their Super Bowl.
I was always scared when I played tennis as a kid. I was always scared of people I never played before, or that they were like, not heralded from a big school, because those are the ones that are scrappy, and those are the ones that that's the Edelman type people. Those are the people that kind of just grind, and you got to be on your best. At your best, it has to be a given if you're going to beat people in teams like this. And that's, anyway, so all will be but I think you're right. Sweden is the exact team we should be playing. The team that they actually know that we can lose to. And if that happens, I think the seal will be broken and we'll be okay.
Yes.
But we need that. That's going to be a big game. 5 a.m. Sunday.
Sweden is the type of team that the leaders of our team can look at the young players and say, this team beats us a lot, and we
in the Olympics,
happen.
in the two big, So it's exactly. I think it couldn't be. It could. Right, if they're playing Guatemala or something, it would be a different vibe. So I think Sweden is exactly what we need to.
I think it's great. I think it's gonna kick us right in the butt, and then we're gonna go on and we're gonna be fine.
Speaking of kicking us in the butt, as we transition to
what a segue! Holy smokes!
I'm on fire today.
Jeez. Okay.
Miami Heat in basketball are still waiting for Damian Lillard. Is that how you say his name? Damian Lillard is the top 5 player from Portland Trailblazers that has made it unequivocally clear that he's from Miami, wants to play in the Heat, loves Butler, loves Pat Riley's system, wants to play for Coach Spo. He speaks of nothing else. He only talks to Miami press. He's literally, as far as he's concerned, already a Miami Heat player. One problem, though, the Portland Trailblazers can give a fuck. They're not even negotiating with Miami to get him there. They don't care. They don't think the Miami talent that they're offering is even worth even discussing. And they complain to the NBA. So the commissioner, for the first time ever, sends a memo to all the players in the NBA or to all the players and the team saying, you cannot demand to be traded to a specific team. We will be monitoring. Meanwhile, where was that when LeBron has an ESPN special saying, I'm taking my talents to South Beach. Where's the memo when every player dictates where they want to go? All of a sudden, Damon wants to go to Miami, so therefore there's a memo now? I'm being very active in my chair.
Very, very active.
I'm being very shoulder riveting. I'm thinking of doing a header like Leo. No, but I'm just saying that this is interesting because what happens when push comes to, when rock and hard plays, when Portland is not moving, Damon's made it very clear he's not playing for Portland ever again. So it's been so long that we were still on spring episodes when I was talking about this. So we came back from summer break and I thought, okay, what's the topic of the NBA? Oh, the same one we had last issue or last episode. Anyway, the point is that let's say it does happen. We would have, of course, the Heat would have Lillard, Bam Adebayo, and Jimmy Butler as truly one of the big threes, if the only big three in the NBA. So it would be plus, of course, Coach Spo and Pat Riley and the whole system, and so it would be very, very. And by the way, we've been clearing house to give room for Damon to come in. So the Miami Heat are now depleted with the team that got them to the finals, expecting to get this player that's not there, and their current team's not negotiating. So let's see how Pat Riley can work his magic.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, exactly. Tell me about any thoughts at all on NBA.
No.
Okay, great. Moving on. Why should this episode be any different than 95% of the episodes that we have? When I think they should allow female players topless, and even then you'd be like, no, I don't think so.
You know what's amazing, actually? So I was talking about this the other night. We had a 60th birthday party around here, and we were all out by the fire, and we were talking about just sports in general. And it came up that my great-grandfather's in the Basketball Hall of Fame. And they're like, oh, really? Like, well, what did he do? And I was like, to be honest, I'm not really sure. And so I looked it up, and I think I still have the page open. I do. I still have the page open.
I asked you the same thing, by the way, and you still didn't know. So
yeah. So I looked him up. Hang on, it's pulling up right now. I went to the Hall of Fame website, Basketball Hall of Fame, and Oswald Tower. Come to find out, okay. Where's
is this on your mom's side?
Yes, this is on my mom's side. In 1942, as part of the celebration of basketball's first half century, Tower, my great-grandfather, was awarded the Harold M. Gore Award in an honor granted to the individual who contributed the most to the game.
Well, then this is your perfect son. You contributed the least to the game. So therefore, it's a great dual sides of the coin.
Yeah, but it's just
because who can contribute less to NBA than Jonah Bayless?
And I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff that he did, but like that was the highlight of it.
That's kind of amazing.
And I was reading, I was like wow, like
was he affiliated with one team or just the overall NBA?
Okay, hang on. And while we're on it, let's just. So he was in.
This is 23andMe basketball edition. Okay, go ahead.
It says when the game. When basketball was invented, the game lacked standardized rules, and teams from different regions conformed to different rules. This lack of standardization proved detrimental to the game as teams and officials quarreled over violations. And so he spearheaded the whole movement to get everybody on the same page.
Wow. That's that. My family was like at the Havana Yacht Club in Cuba, just getting suntans and mojitos by the pool.
It goes on to
just
tell how he like went up and down the East Coast to promote basketball.
Did you hear what I said?
Yeah.
I mean, a little bit less dismissive would be appreciated. But anyway, okay. Fascinating. And if this was taught in Florida, obviously he would never, there'd be a whole type of revisionist type of history that they'd be teaching those 8th graders in Florida.
Anyway, we can move on.
Yes. Any mention of the current governor of the great state of Florida is always a problem. All right, so moving on. By the way, thank you for contributing to the NBA segment.
I was trying.
Yeah, you did.
Right?
And this is you dug deep. I like it. Hashtag TBT. I like it. Google it, kids.
That's like hashtag throw way back Thursday.
Yeah, this is throwback, OG throwback. All right. Baseball been very, very good to me.
Okay.
Baseball. 2 surprises for me are interesting. One is Ohtani, which was, in this whole time we were off, they were all of a sudden, surprisingly to me, the Angels were literally not denying that they were shopping Ohtani because they couldn't retain him possibly, etc. And they had a less than stellar season so far, so it's not really. Yep. And they decided they announced that they're not going to move him at all. They're keeping him because, and it's not surprising for people who kind of casually understand or watch baseball or follow the mechanics of the business of baseball. But it wasn't a given for sure, because with Ohtani, you really can just more or less, if you do it properly, you can guarantee 6 top flight players that will propel you into a contention.
Yeah.
Because Ohtani is that good. He's not only amazing, he's also the only dual player that is an all-star as a pitcher and a slugger, and he's probably top 3 in both categories, making him number 1 with a bullet in the past 20 years. He's a once in a generational or more type of athlete.
Yeah.
So it's an amazing thing that the Angels said, no, he's staying put right now. So I find that interesting. The flip side of that, or the other side of that, is the fact that the playoff push, which happens after the All-Star break, in August, really begins to kind of like the scoreboard watching and the pennant races. Everyone's bunched up. Everyone's really bunched up, and everyone's playing okay. There's no team that's like, maybe Oakland A's or something, but there's no, a large percentage, 70% of the teams are in play. They're playing well-ish. And it's like I mentioned, the AL East, the AL Beast, right? Mm-hmm. The Yankees are in last place, and they're like 6 games over 500 in the AL East. Yeah. Baltimore, Toronto, Tampa Bay, the Red Sox are the hottest team since the All-Star break. They're streaking with a bullet. So not physically, but they're winning. So, and they're getting some of their best players back.
Understood.
They're getting some of their best players back. And by the way, I don't think I told you July 4th. Well, I did tell you, but I didn't tell our millions of fans on July 4th.
You didn't tell the world. Tell the world, right? Here's your opportunity, RPF, to tell the world what you did July 4th.
Tell you how long ago it's been. July 4th, which seems like a year ago. We went on a
I thought you were going to say a month ago, and I was like, well,
it feels like 31 days ago. It was we went on the Queen Mary 2, which is the Cunard line, which is an ocean cruise anyway from New York City, and we ended up in Boston on July 4th for the entire day. So we ended up, and there's, lo and behold, the Red Sox were in town in a day game playing the Texas Rangers, which, by the way, this year are really good and getting better as the trade deadline is upon us. Anyway, but Texas, I was able to go to Fenway Park and be sitting in the temple, in the holy ground land of baseball on July 4th with the fireworks and the atmosphere, and it was just a lot of fun. Anyway, it was like, it kind of gave me, and this year in particular, seeing firsthand how the pitching clock is working and how and of course in Boston, Jalen Duran is like this new player for us, and he's like this jackrabbit. He's the fastest player. He's like what Tyreek Hill is to the Dolphins, he is to the Red Sox. Yeah. He literally hit a ball that was like deep, with a deep single that was cut off in the right field gap, and he made it a triple. To tell you how fast he is, he literally, to see him in person, I was like, that is fast, brother. Anyway, it was a really fun day, and it's fun to watch. Anyway, so baseball, I think it's going to be for people again who don't follow baseball that carefully, who usually wait for the playoffs. You may want to watch in like once a week, check in to see what the teams are, because everyone's playing well. The new rules are really fun, and I think this is kind of been the kind of wake up call to a whole sports league that has been heated, and everyone's on board, and it's great. The games are 45 minutes shorter and more exciting, and it's just right. I mean, well, you pitchers are the ones that are like, let me step off the rubber for the 13th. I mean,
I was never that way, but I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. I had teammates that I was like,
it's like, you're not going to get any better.
Yeah. Right.
You're not going to have all of a sudden like a magic sink ball. I mean, a sinker is going to appear out of nowhere. We know it's coming. It's a low fastball. Just throw it already. Anyway, but it's a fun season. Anything that you've been wanting to say about baseball?
No, just I've been following, like you mentioned, that I've been following along with the AL East. It's fascinating to me that all of these teams.
The Yankees are supposed to be the killer team,
and playing so well. And what's funny to me is, we're up here in upstate New York, and it's funny to me that I know a bunch of Yankees fans, and it's all perspective, right? And they're not playing terribly, but you know what? They're in last place. And so I was talking to a fan the other day, and he's like, "Oh, they're so awful, and they're playing so bad, and like this and that, and like blah blah blah." And I'm like, "Oh man, like I guess I haven't been following in a long enough." And then I go online, and I'm like, "Oh, let me see how they're doing." I'm like, "Oh, they're above 5. They just happen to be in an amazing division."
They will be in first place in the other division, in the Central Division. They'll be in first place right now. So it's a bit like in football with this coming up. With
So to your point, a lot of us used to wait until the playoffs to start paying attention, but especially in that AL East, you're going to want to start paying attention kind of like now, because that's going to start shaking out. As we go into
and as a Red Sox fan. The fact that we're getting Chris Sale back, which is our star pitcher, and we're getting healthier, and we got this young guy named Casas. He looks like a bit like Lurch from if you Google that name,
Casas,
from
like houses.
Casas like houses, very good. And he's also like a big lumbering guy. He was batting like 180 before the All-Star break, and he's a brand new, came up from the minors. He's been our number one prospect for the Red Sox for a couple of years, and he tore up the minor leagues. And the manager was like being asked, "Why do you have this guy in here? He's batting 180. He has like 60. He doesn't even hit the ball near." And since the All-Star break, he is number one in OBS, in hitting, in home runs, in RBIs. He's like Ohtani all of a sudden, and he's literally Casas cannot be stopped. And meanwhile, he has like this like long kind of like hair, and like it's kind of like he lumbers like a bit like Manny Ramirez and Big Papi just had a child, and he literally. As you can tell how fast that is, like a double against the wall in Fenway, it's barely a single. I mean, it's like
right.
So he has to but when he's running and hustling, when he's deep in the gap and he's gonna make a double finally, he always flips his back cap like halfway between first and second base, and people have to clear that. He's always like hitting his own head to try to clear the cap to kind of get it more aerodynamic or something. It's really funny. Anyway, the point is he's tearing the tar out of the ball. And he is helping out Rafi Devers and Josh Turner, by the way, the guy from Justin Turner. What's his name from the Dodgers?
Turner.
Justin
Josh
Turner.
Turner's a
Josh Turner's
singer.
Country singer. I knew one of these white people names. Oh my god. Anyway, so Justin Turner, who was like this, he looks like a country star with his beard.
Yeah.
He was a big star, for the Dodgers during their World Series run.
Yep.
And he came over to LA. To Boston from LA, and he has been Mr. Clutch since the All-Star break, like walk-offs and doubles and singles, and he's the one that's the RBI machine. So it's been a very good time for the Red Sox. So I'm hoping to see, the pitching is here and there good. It's been hanging on. So I think we're just one closer away or one pitcher away. Like Sale can come back. So anyway, so we'll see what happens. But it's like I said, it's gonna be a fun stretch to watch.
Okay. Yeah. Agreed. And
And to end the recap of our comeback is, as always, this time of year for me is, say it with me, tennis. When we were gone, I don't know if we were actually, yes, we were still on, we were just beginning our summer break. When at the time, Carlos Alcaraz had played 2 tournaments. He's the young phenom from Spain that's number 1 in the world, but yet Djokovic was the king of the mountain still at Wimbledon. Djokovic has not lost at center court or anywhere in Wimbledon in a decade. 10 years he hasn't lost. What a little bit less, but what Rafa is to the French Open, Djokovic is to Wimbledon, which was Roger used to be at Wimbledon, which was 8 years in a row. So anyway, Alcaraz never played in grass. He played 1 tournament as a warm-up, and he won that tournament, but none of the top tier players were playing. So he was like, I took it with a grain of salt. He was just getting his footing. Because, if you know anything about tennis, playing on grass is like, you're like playing on ice skates. It's all very slippery. The ball doesn't bounce up. Yeah. And all the things that you have to know how to. And Carlos Alcaraz, one of his strengths that no one else has is his ability to turn defense into offense by being so quick and gripping, and putting his foot down and going.
Yeah, because he's like 19.
It's also bendy. Yeah, like he can do full splits. It's like I literally can feel the pain inside my body when he does.
Every now and then he does it. All right, every now and then he does something. And you're like,
oh no, totally. And by the way, every single match, if you want to watch any match that he's ever played, ever, as a professional tennis player, there's at least 3 points in there that you go, huh? How did he get that? It's just amazing to watch. But he literally, the first couple matches, he's all right. But Djokovic is like boom, 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 boom. So anyway, they meet in the final. After all, I'll spare you the whole drama. But they get to the finals. The dream final. First set of the final. 6-1 Djokovic. Alcaraz looks completely outmatched. And, McEnroe's like saying, well, he's a kid. He's going to grow into it. McEnroe's like writing him off. And his brother was like saying, I don't know. He has that gleam in his eye. Anyway, the second set was epic. 7-6 Alcaraz. It took longer than most matches take. There's one game in there that took like 30 minutes. It was just incredible. I can't even describe it to you. It was like 11 break points, 9 game points. Every point was a winner. It was like no one's tanking. Everyone's just... And Djokovic is like, what is going on? I'm Djokovic. I hit a winner and it comes back to me faster than it came. Anyway, so long story short, Djokovic lost his cool, starts banging his racket against the net post at Wimbledon, which... Rafa, has they ever done that? Nope. Has Roger ever done that? Nope. That's Djokovic. He's a villain from Bond films, I'm telling you. Anyway, from that point on, it became a seesaw match. And anyway, long story short, 6-4 in the 5th set, Alcaraz won. Yeah. King Carlos has dethroned the big bad wolf of Wimbledon. So now this officially, this is his 2nd Grand Slam. He won the U.S. Open last year. He's heading into the U.S. Open as we speak this month, at the end of the month, as the number 1 player in the world at 20 years old. Rafa was not number 1 until he was 21. So to tell you, anyway, long story short, Rafa Nadal is out this year. 2024 is going to be his swan song type of year. Right. And now Carlos Alcaraz has picked up that mantle and and Djokovic has another rival that he didn't expect to have. So that could be a very interesting final there because Djokovic and Carlos both prefer the hard court. So
I'm interested to see because I watched the end of that match. I didn't get to catch the beginning because I had my daughter had called.
You sent me a text like, what? You said, what's going on here?
I'm interested to see sort of the long-term psyche effects it has on Djokovic because the short term, when I finally started tuning in, it took me within maybe I don't know 2 points or so to go, oh wow, I was like, Djokovic just looks defeated. Like the game, it wasn't over yet, but he was just
what happened? You know what happened when he smashed the racket? Which, by the way, he's been keeping.
And I didn't see that. I didn't know that happened.
Well, I'm just telling you because for about he's been this villain against Roger and against Rafa. For once, he was like the veteran that there's no one else around, and so the fans were warming up to him a little bit. It's like, and all of a sudden, in the whole 2 week, whole fortnight, he was like this elder statesman, king of the court. He was breaking records, and he won more Grand Slams than anybody. Yeah. He's in this trajectory for the history books. All of a sudden, his emotions got the better of him, and he smashes the racket, and the crowd boos him.
I mean, that's what I saw.
Something died inside a little bit. I'm telling you right now, he he knew at that moment that he will never be Roger or Rafa, and he kind of got sad. I think he got sad instantly. He still played well.
This is what I'm saying, but you're stealing it.
Oh, but I'm telling you how it happened. The light turned off.
No, yeah, I'm because I'm interested to see. So in the short term, right, when I tuned in, and it was like, because I think I saw there was like one good volley or something, and Alcaraz just went and got this ball that we were talking about, like you're not supposed to get, and I just saw the look on Djokovic's face, and he was just like, what am I supposed to do here? Like what how do you like what? And then from that point forward, he was like he mishit one like straight up into the stands and like flopped one over here, and I was like, oh man, I was like, this guy's a train wreck. And I think what will happen is if and probably when they meet again in some other Grand Slam final, because they probably will, I think it'll be close again. And then I think as soon as Alcaraz makes one of his unbelievable plays that we're talking about to like break a point or something, and it's just like, one of those balls where like Djokovic is going to hit it and like off the racket, he's going to be like, oh shit, yeah, I got it. And Alcaraz is just going to go flying across the court and like dive and like and return it, to break point, and it's just going to go, oh, and it'll
Well, he said as much. During the not the on-court interview, but the actual on-court interview actually was interesting because he actually got emotional, which he never does, about his kids being there watching him, and which was like, all of a sudden he became a human being to everyone, and that kind of, I think that salvaged him in the eyes of a lot of people. That was good. So then he went to the press conference and he said, a lot of people have been saying that Alcaraz is like the best of Rafa and Roger and me, and and I was like, okay, whatever, let's see. And you know what? There's a lot of truth in that. I saw that Nadal tenacity, that never quit, that bull, the Spanish Armada thing, and then I saw Roger's elegance and his flawlessness, and I saw that type of determination that I have, not to move, not to lose a point, not to lose a backhand, and he said, and he's faster than all of us, and he's hungrier. So I'm just glad. Anyway, I think my prediction is that they're not going to meet at the U.S. Open. I think something's going to happen to Djokovic to lose before then. But I think in the Australian Open, I think that's Djokovic's real highlight. He knows he does not lose in Australia. So I think that's going to be the best. And the slower is a slightly slower court in fast court. So it's going to be interesting. That's the one I want to watch Alcaraz play against Djokovic. But yeah, it's going to be a fun thing to watch. This in August, you have 2 hardcore tournaments in the Masters level, which is the 1,000 level, where all the players play in Cincinnati and in Canada, and then they segue into 2 weeks into New York for the U.S. Open. That's going to be, again, Alcaraz on full display.
Cool.
As
awesome.
Defending champion, yeah.
Awesome. Looking forward to it. Well, hey, that, I believe, is all the time we have for
That's
our
all?
show. That's it.
I feel like I've been talking for 2 hours.
That's it. We're going to put a bow on it, or however RPF does it. We're going to put a bow on it. Yep. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in. You can listen to us anywhere you listen to your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Podbean. You can also find us over on Instagram and X. But maybe not for long. Is what I'm gathering?
Yeah, not for long. Enjoy.
But you can always, regardless of that, you can always find us on our dedicated YouTube channel as well. Just go to any of those entities and in the search bar type in Sports, of course, with Jonah and RPF. As I mentioned at the beginning of the show, I'm pretty sure we are the only Sports, of course, with Jonah and RPF. So we should pop right up. And
subscribe and hit like on our YouTube channel.
Do all those things, yep. And as we've mentioned before, just listen to the entire catalog. Just, when it's a rainy weekend, just pour yourself a glass of wine, maybe a bottle, maybe 3, who knows, it might take a while.
I've done that.
just go to the back catalog and listen to all of it. And, but at any rate, RPF, my friend, it has been a pleasure.